The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense latest intelligence update on Ukraine, October 5, 2023. In recent days, Russia has conducted nationwide civil defense exercises premised on a scenario of large-scale international armed conflict. These annual drills have taken place since 2012, coinciding with the country's Civil Defense Day, on October 4th. Despite the ongoing war in Ukraine, this year's exercises are unlikely to reflect dramatic changes or expansions in Russia's civil defense posture. For decades, the USSR and then Russia have prioritized domestic readiness for major conflict. However, even amid the current war, it is improbable that Russia has substantially altered its national preparedness stance in recent months. Moscow's strategic messaging continues to leverage notions of heightened alert and preparedness to influence domestic audiences and project an image of strength, but observable changes in Russia's civil defense activities likely remain minimal. Ukraine Armed Forces General Staff Update. Day 589 of Russia's attempted full-scale invasion of Ukraine continues. On October 5, Ukrainian forces engaged in 30 combat clashes. Russia launched 3 missile strikes, 49 air strikes, 26 multiple-launch rocket system attacks, and 29 Shahed-136 and Shahed-131 kamikaze drone strikes targeting Ukrainian positions and civilian areas. Ukrainian air defenses downed 24 drones. Russian attacks killed and wounded civilians, damaging residential buildings and infrastructure. The situation remains active in eastern and southern Ukraine. In the north, no major changes observed. No signs of troop buildup in Belarus, though some units continue missions near the border. In the northeast, Russia maintains forces near the border, shells settlements from Russian territory, and lays mines along the border. An airstrike hit near Rybovsky, Sumy Oblast. Russia shelled over 20 settlements, including in Chernihiv and Sumy Oblasts. Near Kupiansk, airstrikes hit near Ivanivka and Kislivka, Kharkiv Oblast. Over 15 settlements shelled, including in Kharkiv Oblast. On the Lyman axis, Ukraine repelled 4 Russian attacks east of Makivka, Luhansk Oblast. Airstrikes hit near Bilohorivka, Luhansk Oblast and Spern, Donetsk Oblast. Over 10 settlements shelled. Near Bakhmut, Ukraine secured gains east of Andriivka, Donetsk Oblast. Russia unsuccessfully tried to retake lost ground near Dylivka. Airstrikes hit near Klishchivka and Ivanopilia. Over 15 settlements shelled. Near Avdiivka, Ukraine repelled all Russian attacks. Over 10 settlements shelled. On the Marinka axis, Ukraine repelled over 10 Russian attacks near Marinka and Novomikhailivka, Donetsk Oblast. Airstrikes hit near those settlements in Pereskovivka. Around 10 settlements shelled. Near Shakhtarski, Ukraine repelled attacks near Zoloda Niva and Vodane, Donetsk Oblast. Airstrikes hit near Yurazhaini and Staromayorsky. Over 10 settlements shelled. Southeast of Zaporizhia, Ukraine repelled Russian attacks near Robotyne, Zaporizhia Oblast. Airstrikes hit near Novodarivka and Robotyne. Over 20 settlements shelled. In Kherson Oblast, airstrikes hit near Berislav, Kozatsky, Odrodokamyanka, and Mykolaievka. Over 10 settlements shelled, including in Kherson and Mykolaiv Oblasts. Ukraine continues offensive operations in the south and east, inflicting losses on Russian manpower and equipment. On October 5, Ukraine's Air Force conducted 12 airstrikes on Russian troop equipment concentrations and 3 on air defenses. Missile forces struck 7 Russian military targets. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. In an October 5 address to the Valdai Discussion Club, Russian President Vladimir Putin promoted long-standing Russian disinformation narratives about the war in Ukraine. Putin reiterated false claims that the West initiated the Ukraine conflict in 2014. He asserted NATO expansion threatens Russian security, though evidence indicates Putin launched the 2022 full-scale invasion to expand Russian power rather than in response to NATO. Putin claimed the war is not a territorial conflict, but about establishing principles for a new multipolar world order, stating the UN and modern international law are outdated and subject to demolition. However, Putin's expressed goal of a new world order aligns with the Institute for the Study of War's assessment that his aims in Ukraine exceed responding to NATO or seizing limited territory. Instead, evidence suggests Putin pursues the eradication of Ukrainian statehood and fracture of NATO unity, objectives he still pursues. Putin leverages disinformation to portray Russia as responding to Western aggression rather than acknowledging his imperialist goals. But his vision for a new global order dominated by Russia exposes the false narratives behind the Kremlin's justifications for war. The Institute for the Study of War Key Takeaways today. Putin deflected responsibility for Wagner Group financier Prigozhin's death with an implausible explanation at the Valdai Discussion Club. Ukrainian forces proceeded with offensive operations near Bakhmut in western Zaporizhia Oblast, reportedly securing advances on October 5. Elements of Russia's 41st Combined Arms Army and 810th Naval Infantry Brigade may have redeployed to Kherson Oblast. A Russian missile strike on Hroza, Kharkiv Oblast, killed 51 civilians following overnight drone attacks across Ukraine. Defense Minister Shoigu indicated Russia may be forming training regiments that could also serve as operational strategic reserves, but confidence in this is low. Russia will reportedly construct a permanent but likely small naval base in Abkhazia. Russian attacks along several frontline areas, Kupiansk, Svatov, Crimea, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Donetsk City, Western Donetsk, Eastern Zaporizhia, did not gain ground on October 5. Russia continues coercive data collection of citizens for crypto mobilization. Russian occupation officials persist in programs forcibly deporting Ukrainian children. In summary, Russia continues attacks but with limited gains, while Ukraine secures measured advances. Key developments include Russia's deadly strikes on civilians, potential troop shifts, and forcible deportation efforts. Reporting from Ukraine Update. Day 588 brought significant developments between Ukraine and Russia. Ukrainian forces conducted a successful amphibious operation in Crimea, supported by missile and drone strikes. Initially, Russian sources reported the attack on 3 jet skis and 1 boat, but later corrected the numbers after a video released by Ukrainian intelligence showed 6 jet skis involved in the operation. The Ukrainian assault unit engaged Russian forces on the shore, causing losses on both sides. Ultimately, Ukrainians withdrew, with their losses being lower than the Russian forces. Russian sources initially claimed to have captured 1 Ukrainian soldier who fell off a vessel. Simultaneously, Ukrainians launched missile and drone strikes on the Crimean Peninsula, targeting Sevastopol and Ingern. This strategic move aimed to divert Russian attention to the sky and hinder the use of aviation, a potent weapon against vessels. Over the past 2 months, Ukraine successfully established control over all oil rigs near Crimea. This achievement played a crucial role in driving the Russian fleet and aviation away from the Black Sea, enabling intense reconnaissance along the shore and efficient destruction of Russian assets. The control of these oil rigs also prevented Russians from approaching the Odessa region by sea and deprived them of crucial bases for their helicopters. Russian jets now face the risk of being shot down around these rigs. The outcome of these operations has significantly reduced the threat of a large-scale Russian attack from the sea on Odessa, addressing a major concern for Ukraine at the start of the conflict. In summary, Day 588 showcased the strategic effectiveness of Ukrainian operations in the Black Sea, leading to substantial gains and altering the balance of power in the region. Broe Update. A Russian media executive suggested detonating a nuclear weapon over Siberia, causing backlash. This highlights state control over Russian media. There is political turmoil in the U.S. House of Representatives, with the Speaker being removed from his position over disputes about issues like Ukraine funding. However, support for Ukraine aid remains bipartisan. Russia continued attacks on civilians, killing dozens in a village. Ukraine struck Russian military targets inside Russia. Russia is mobilizing more troops through various means, but claims no plans for a new mass mobilization this year. Ukraine and Poland reached an agreement to ease grain exports. More Western companies are resuming business in Ukraine.